lovely people, and welcome to Owen's Mind, a light-hearted trip through the contents of my head and the world in general. It is Wednesday the 27th of November. My name is Owen, and here is what is on my mind today. So as usual, I've picked out 5 stories making the headlines that I want to give my thoughts on. Links in the description below so you can read each article in full and show the original publication some love. So without any further ado, let's get straight into story number 1. And story number 1 today comes to us from BBC News. So Trump is invited to attend the impeachment hearing or stop complaining. Yes, so obviously this is part of the ongoing impeachment trial in regards Donald Trump's conduct on a phone call specifically with the Ukraine. So Congress has invited US President Donald Trump to attend its first impeachment hearing on the 4th of December. Gerald Nadler, Democratic chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, said Trump could either attend or stop complaining about the process. Yes, because he has been quite vocal. If he does attend, we'll be able to question the witnesses, so that would be quite interesting. It would mark the next stage of the impeachment inquiry, which centres on a July phone call between Mr. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In the call, allegedly, Trump asked Mr. Zelensky to investigate Joe Biden, currently the frontrunner to be the Democratic candidate in next year's presidential election, and his son Hunter, who previously worked for Ukrainian energy company Burisma, and that's where it all kind of comes round. And he said, "I'd like you to do us a favour." That was his exact words on the call. The probe is looking into whether Mr. Trump used a threat of withholding US military aid to pressure Ukraine into investigating the Bidens. The president has denied this, any wrongdoing, and he's just said it's a witch hunt. Last week, the Intelligence Committee wrapped up 2 weeks of public hearings, which followed several weeks of closed-door witness interviews. Adam Schiff, the Democratic chairman of the Intelligence Committee, said the committees leading the probe, Intelligence, Oversight and Foreign Affairs, are now working on their report, which will be issued on the 3rd of December. Mr. Nadler said in a statement that he had written to Mr. Trump inviting him to the hearing next month. At the base of this, the President has a choice to make, Mr. Nadler said. He can take the opportunity to be represented in the impeachment hearings, or he can stop complaining about the process. I hope that he chooses to participate in the inquiry directly or through counsel, as other presidents have done before him. In his letter to the President, Mr. Nadler said the hearing would be an opportunity to discuss the historical and constitutional basis for impeachment. We will also discuss whether your alleged actions warrant the House exercising its authority to adopt articles for impeachment, he added. He's given Mr. Trump until 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the 1st of December to confirm whether or not he will attend the hearing, and if so, to let the committee know who his counsel will be. The Judiciary Committee is expected to begin drafting articles of impeachment, which have the charges of wrongdoing against the President, in early December. After a vote in the Democratic-controlled House, a trial will be held in the Republican-run Senate. And if Trump was convicted by a 2/3 majority, an outcome deemed highly unlikely, he would become the first US president to be removed from office through impeachment. The White House and some Republicans want the trial to be limited to 2 weeks. So yeah, Trump has been obviously very vocal throughout this whole process on Twitter, how much he thinks it's just fake news, and his phone call was perfect, and it's a witch hunt and all this kind of stuff. So Jerry Nadler's essentially saying, right, well, come and give us your side then and prove us wrong, or stop moaning about it. Straight off the bat, I don't think he's going to attend at all. I think he'll just be like, no, it's just a show, and it's and I'm not going to take part in it. I think that would be a good thing, because I think if he does show up, he's been shown in recent interviews to kind of go off topic and ramble a little bit. So I predict right now, today on the 27th of November, he will not attend. Whether he will send counsel, whether he'll send Rudy, I don't think he'll send Rudy Giuliani either, because he has been known to put his foot in his mouth on multiple occasions. So yeah, I just think he'll completely ignore the request. I think he'll just say, no, it's not worth it, it's just a witch hunt, it's just this, it's just that, it's fake news, it doesn't count. I wasn't aware that the trial is going to be held at the Republican-controlled Senate. I wasn't aware of the process. If you go to the BBC News website, they've got, in this article, they've got a really useful flowchart at the bottom which kind of details how impeachment goes, each stage, and what it branches off depending on the results. So it's quite nice to see it laid out, because it can be a little bit overwhelming, all this stuff, and there's so much of it on the news at the minute. So yeah, there you go. Jerry's called him out. I don't think he's going to turn up, but we'll see. You never know, he might surprise me. Anyway, moving on to story number 2. This is in CNN Business. Papa John founder John Schnatter ate 40 pizzas in 30 days and says it's gotten worse. So yeah, this is Papa John's founder and former chief executive officer John Schnatter gave his first major interview since being ousted from the company, and it's safe to say he's not happy with the way things went down. Schnatter, 58, gave a wide-ranging interview with Kentucky TV station WDRB, where he criticised the pizza chain for everything from quality of the pizza to its upper management. I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days, and it's not the same pizza, Schnatter said of the company. It's not the same product. It doesn't taste as good. The way they're making the pizza is not fundamental to what makes Papa John's pizza. This is all farce. He said in the interview he was set up, calling a controversy that led to his resignation a farce. I've never dreamed that people I cared about, that I loved, that I made multimillionaires would do what they did, Schnatter said. I just didn't know it would happen from people inside doing this. I thought it would come from outside. Schnatter says he believes that the company's board of directors used the black community and race as a way to steal the company. Papa John's did not immediately respond to a request from CNN. He founded the company in 1984. He believes it's now been mismanaged. He sold most of his stock in the company and is no longer the largest individual shareholder. He said, my metaphor is there's no reason to be in a car when the car crashes, even if you love the car. Whilst he said that he currently has no interest in returning to the company, he believes he'll be welcomed back with open arms. If the management team was out and I went back in, they'd be cheering, he said. They'd be doing backflips, they'd be bouncing off the walls. While Schnatter declined to reveal any more details, he had an ominous warning. Stay tuned, he said, the day of reckoning will come. The record will be straight. The backlash that led to Schnatter leaving the company began when he blamed declining sales on the NFL's handling of player protests during an analyst call in late 2017, and Papa John's was the official pizza sponsor of the NFL at that time. A white supremacist website named Papa John's the official pizza of the alt-right a day later. That's not good. Months after that, Schnatter was heard using a racial slur in audio from an internal diversity training meeting. It was taped in secret and leaked to Forbes, and Schnatter stepped down as CEO shortly after that audio leaked. Okay, so just to clarify that particular point, what actually happened was they were discussing in this conference call the details of the NFL thing and what happened, and he responded by downplaying the significance of his statement, saying Colonel Sanders, who set up KFC, used to call black people N-word, before complaining that Sanders never faced a public backlash. So that's where he came from. So I've got a tiny bit of sympathy for him on that side, because yeah, it's inappropriate language. Of course it is. He wasn't using it as an attack. He was basically saying, you know, people would come at him over the NFL thing because he'd made a comment. And, you know, I don't know a lot about this NFL comment, so I don't know the full context. So I don't know if it was ill-advised or whatever. But he's going, look, this other guy in a very similar industry to what we're in, when it comes to race, he said this, which was much worse, and nobody came at him, so why are they coming at me? So yeah, I can, you know, again, you don't use that, especially on a conference call when there's other people present, because you don't know how people are going to take the word. Even just hearing the word, no matter the context, is, you know, a lot of people find it offensive, and that's rightly so. So after that, he stepped down, but he's basically saying, you know what, I mean, I've got a bit of sympathy with the guy, because he set it up, and, you know, the whole advert is, you know, better ingredients, better pizza. So if your baby, and you've built it, and you've worked for it, but then through not no fault of your own, but through channels, you are removed from that company, and then you see it starting to decline. And the thing that's had your face on and your brand that you've worked so hard to create is getting worse and worse and worse. So I guess what he's saying is that he was forced out of the company because they wanted maybe, I suppose in the article he's kind of alluding to the fact that now that he's gone, they can run it financially leaner. You know, use cheaper ingredients, use different processes to speed everything up and, you know, get more bang for your buck. But the result is poorer quality food. So I've kind of got some sympathy for the guy. I don't know how his removal, I don't know how justified it was. But I do have sympathy for the fact that he's kind of worked so hard on this. Like I say, it's set up in 1984, so it's been around, you know, decades. And he worked hard to do it, and, you know, he brought people up with him, and then he felt like those people had turned on him, and now they've taken what he created and ruined it. You know, but they're still using his name and his face on the marketing. So, yeah, anyway, there you go. Let's move on. Story number 3, this is Mail Online, virtual reality for cows. Dairy farm fits animals with headsets to improve their well-being and improve production. So there is actually quite a good idea behind this. So a Russian dairy farm strapped virtual reality headsets to its cows in an experiment to improve their well-being and increase milk production. Farmers work with developers, vets and consultants at the Krasnogorsk farm near Moscow to beam the cattle a simulation of a summer field. Nice. The study revealed reduced anxiety and improved overall emotional mood in the herd, according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food in Moscow. An upcoming part of the study will observe whether this improved overall mood has a positive effect on milk production. The hardware was developed by taking a human VR headset and moulding it to the specifications of the animal's head. IT specialists then tweak the colour palette in the software to make it more suitable for the animal's unique vision. Though not colourblind, cows can't see red or green and only perceive dull shades of yellow and blue. The Ministry of Agriculture referred to Dutch and Scottish research finding that environmental conditions have a significant impact on cow health and, as a consequence, the quality and quantity of milk produced. They added that the agriculture industry is increasingly relying on robotics to improve the emotional welfare of cattle. In America, automated rotating brushes are used to massage the cattle. In other parts of Moscow, farmers play classical music to relax them into producing more milk. In Europe, automation of milking has allowed farmers more time to inspect the udders, hooves and general well-being of the herd. So yeah, as comical as it looks, yeah, if it's been done to improve their well-being and if it gives them a sense of peace, then okay. A few pointers, I've used VR and I can get quite motion sick. And if I do, I can just take it off and I can say, I'm getting motion sick. Cow can't do that. A cow can't tell you it's feeling a bit nauseous, nor does it have hands with which to remove the headset. Once this thing's on, the cow ain't getting it off. Because it's not like it could even brush up against something and rub it off, because it can't see. All it can see is this nice summer field. So hopefully they've sort of gone into that as well. But yeah, why not? Why not if it makes it more productive? Why not put some games in there? Put on Call of Duty and, you know, No Man's Sky. That's quite a nice, peaceful looking game. You know, nice big vistas and that, and they could do a bit of mining and get some resources while they're producing milk. So, yeah, I just thought it was a curious way of how technology is kind of, you know, we know that technology in agriculture and technology and everything is kind of pushing on. I didn't see coming. So yeah, cows in VR. There you go. Moving on to story number 4, this is in the Mirror today. Furious BA passenger served a burnt toastie on a 10,000 business class flight. Yes. So, British Airways business class customer claims airline staff admitted he would get better food on Ryanair. Ooh, burn. Than chard sandwich sent his way. The director of a specialist engineering company paid in the region of 10,000 for the flight from Miami to Heathrow, only to receive a breakfast he claims was disgusting. The man, who does not wish to be named, posted photographs of his breakfast on the flight showing a burnt cheese and tomato toastie. The flyer from London wrote, "This disgusting breakfast served in business class on BA208 from Miami to London Heathrow on the morning of the 21st November. Cabin crew agreed that it was an insult and I could get better food on Ryanair. Business class seats on BA are bad enough, but the food now really takes the pee." The picture showed the bread and a thin layer of cheese, which appeared to have been overcooked. There is a single slice of tomato on each piece of toast. The company promises on its website mouth-watering menus that are thoughtfully prepared using locally sourced seasonal produce and elegantly presented. But Penny Larty wrote under the Traveller's Post, "It looks as though the crew themselves burned it though. I hope you're able to get something when your arrivals lounge." Thomas Mao added, "Disgusting even for economy class." Caroline Paler wrote, "If this is what business class get, what about the poor soul at the back?" Business Airways continues to be hit by regular complaints about the quality of its in-flight catering. Earlier this month, a businesswoman claimed she fell ill after eating mushy and revolting food on a British Airways flight. Sancha Harp, who lives in Queensland, Australia, flew back to Newcastle after her stepmother's funeral. But she said a trip back to England, first trip back to England in 15 years, was marred by the food on a BA flight. In October, a director criticised the airline for treating vegetarians like rabbits. Carolyn Saunders was flying from Vancouver to London when she was served a truly pathetic plain tofu, baby corn and rice meal. A spokesman for BA said, "We pride ourselves on the quality of the meals we offer on board and have heavily invested in our catering in all cabins. We've not received any complaints regarding the catering on this flight." 4 months ago, a study carried out by a customer group which said that passengers paying huge sums for upgrades on carriers like British Airways have experienced inedible meals, cramped seats and substandard entertainment. One passenger responded to the survey comparing BA's business class to Ryanair but with free food. Ouch. So, Yeah, bit of a problem. Um, Looking at the picture, yeah, it does look like an overdone toastie. And if you got it in a cafe, you'd probably take it back. The whole thing, oh, the crew agreed with me. Yeah, I've been in customer services. What I suspect happened there was his businessman was kicking off and going, "This is a disgrace. I'd get better food on Ryanair." And the cabin crew are like, "Yes, I totally agree, sir." You know what I mean? They're trying to appease the customer. So it's not like he just said, "What's this?" You know, think it's a bit overdone, and then, "Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's worse than Ryanair." I don't suspect that happened. I think he was letting off steam, and they agreed with him to try and calm the moment. Um, Airline food is famously not great. Business class, the food is a small part of it. You're not paying £10,000 for that cheese toaster. You're paying £10,000 for the convenience of the flight, hopefully the legroom, the comfort, the space, and the menu as part of that. So yes, it is a piece of it, but it's not the whole part. You know, the woman saying it ruined her trip back to England after 15 years away. No, it didn't. It was just a bad meal. Everybody has. Everybody has experienced a bad meal. You experience them almost weekly if you eat out a lot. Some meals are not going to be great. This one does look a bit overdone. Again, it's just going to be done. It's going to be pre-prepared because you don't have a nice big full open kitchen. Everything's going to be pre-prepared, and it's essentially just heated through. You know, I know some of the really high-end airlines, I think, have chefs and you can choose the menu and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how this works on BA's business class. I'm not wealthy enough or business-like to actually fly it. So I've got. I think if you in business class, the way they market it, I think you should expect more than what this guy got. Absolutely fair play. But it doesn't say what the response was. He hasn't followed up by going, yeah, they took it away and they brought me another one which was far better, or they cooked it better, or they offered me something else. So he hasn't said what the airline's response was in the moment, which would have been interesting to know how the cabin crew actually handled it. You know, because you get the impression from this that they're kind of like, well, that's it, take it or leave it. And I suspect that wasn't the case. I suspect they did say, "I'm terribly sorry, can I get you something else? Can I get you another one?" Whatever. So it doesn't say how they appeased him in any way. And he's just kicking off. And, you know, and people have bad days and they come down and, you know, straight on social media. So, yeah, I've got a little bit of sympathy with the airline because it's it's a tricky environment to prepare delicious food. However, if you are going to advertise that you've got mouthwatering menus and things, you've got to live up to that claim. And the fact that there's been multiple complaints about quality of food from various different things, I think is something they do need to look at. If you're going to market, if it's been part of your marketing, part of the experience of business class is this menu, you've got to live up to those claims. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. And our final story today, story number 5. Not a happy one to end, I'm afraid, but it's from Sky News today. Mortality rate in areas of northern England worse than parts of Romania. Yeah, so Blackpool, Manchester and Hull have a higher percentage of death rates each year than parts of Turkey, Slovakia and Romania, according to Institute of Public Policy Research. North, in its State of the North report, the think tank says centralisation of power and a lack of regional independence combined with low levels of local government spending has left the UK more socially divided than comparable nations like France or Germany in terms of health, jobs, disposable income and productivity. It found that in Kensington and Chelsea and Hammersmith and Fulham, disposable income per person is £48,000 higher than in areas such as Nottingham and Leicestershire. Let's just pause there for a minute. If you've got 48,000, it's £48,000 higher, so it's more than that as a disposable income. So if your disposable income up north is 500 quid, these people have got £48,500 disposable income, as in money I don't need. I can just. That is an insane amount of money. That is a huge amount of money. And it said, reported it while productivity in London and the South East was among the highest in the developed world, parts of Northern Ireland, Wales and North of England were less productive than parts of Poland, Hungary and Romania. It says only Romania and South Korea are more socially divided. The report's authors identify a lack of money as a root cause, with local government spending on economic affairs half of what is available regionally in France and Germany. They say centralisation is making the situation worse, with central government taking 95 pence of every pound raised in tax compared to 69p in Germany. Report author and senior research fellows at the IPPR North, Luke Rakes, said It's no surprise that people across the country feel so disempowered. Both political and economic power are hoarded by a handful of people in London and the South East, and this has damaged all parts of the country from Newcastle to Newham. He said all our region's economies have been held back by centralisation, but they're interdependent too, and we can no longer ignore that. All our regions need devolution to be empowered and to work together. This must be a top priority for the next government. Northern Powerhouse Minister Jake Berry defended the government's record, saying since 2010 there are over 500,000 more people in work, wages are rising faster than inflation, and over 100,000 more businesses have been created in the North. The Conservatives in government have done more than any of them to maximise the power of the North. 5 years ago there was no devolution at all. Now 50% of the people who live in the North are represented by metro mayors with a war chest of powers and money to drive jobs and growth. So yeah, it's sad to hear, it's the old adage that it's grim up north, and it appears, according to this report, it actually is, with higher death rates and less social diversity. And it just feels, I suppose the report is getting it because everything is governed from London, and that's where the seat of power tends to be, that the north is getting a little bit left behind. And the devolution thing comes up quite a lot. Yorkshire is the biggest county in the country, and it feels like it's suffering a little bit because there's not the investment and there's not the autonomy there for them to be able to, improve things that they like to. I mean, if everything we raise, if 95 pence of it is going down, back to the central government, then there's not enough left for our region to actually, put in investment and, to bring things up. So, yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, and it's disappointing to hear as a Yorkshireman. And I mean, I've lived it off. I never feel underprivileged or that my opportunities are limited in that. But I suppose I've got nothing to measure it against. But that disposable income thing, 48,000 more in certain areas of, and again, we're talking about the very, very high-end areas of, that was a headline-grabbing figure, wasn't it? Let's face it. The very affluent areas of London compared to up here. But it's such a disparity. If it was a little bit, if it was like their disposable income across a family is 10,000 more than up north, you can kind of go, that's a lot, but 48,000, that is a huge amount. So hopefully things will. I don't know what this report, if the report is produced for somebody, for the government, or if it's just an independently produced report just to kind of give you the state of things. I mean, it says it was, it's State of the North report for the Institute of Public Policy Research. So it doesn't say what now happens as the result of this report. So hopefully something positive, something will get done. And again, change does, in this kind of issue, change doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come over 5 years, it comes over decades. But hopefully we can start moving towards that and things will improve for us up north. And the country as a whole will be more balanced in regards to economics, social diversity, opportunities, investment, etc., etc., etc. Because it has felt for a while that London's the kind of epicenter of everything. And as power moves out, it gets weaker and weaker, and as finances move out, they get smaller and smaller. So it's like London's where the stone lands in the pond and the ripples kind of dissipate as it comes north. And so it does feel like that a little bit. So hopefully this will address that. Anyways, that's it, guys. Links to all the stories I've discussed today can be found in the description below, so feel free to go and check them out. Let me know what you think about this video and tell me what other animals would you think would benefit from VR. Anyway, answers in the comments please, along with any thoughts you'd like to share. These were mine. They're not necessarily important. They're not necessarily right or wrong. They're just what was on my mind. So until next time, bye for now.